The MBRP Armor Black Dual Rear Exit Exhaust is a great choice for the 2021 and newer 3.5 EcoBoost F-150 owner who's after a cool, subtle look with a great tone and tolerable volume. This system's price, exhaust note, and volume make it perfect for a daily driven truck. Now, speaking of that volume, we're going to give this one a 3 out of 5 on our loudness meter. It's not super loud, but definitely a noticeable difference versus stock. I will continue to beat the drum by saying that I am a fan of MBRP's exhaust, mostly because they are the value proposition that also sounds great, and that is definitely the case with this one. This Armor Black system is their street profile, which, as you heard from the clips at the start of the video, keeps things a bit more on the subdued side. You still get a much deeper tone than stock and more volume as well. The sound here is deeper and it's got more of a burble to it, and it gives the EcoBoost a much needed injection of attitude. Now, part of that additional sound is thanks purely to the increased diameter of the piping, 3 inches in this system, which will provide overall better exhaust flow and less back pressure, which is important on a turbocharged engine. MBRP claims that this flows about 28% better than your stock system, and while we aren't dyno testing this one in particular, figure you'll get a slight increase in power and response over stock as well. Though it might feel like a lot more because you're going to be nailing the accelerator every chance you get just because you want to hear this. Now, of course, more volume on the outside means more volume on the inside, but again, this is pretty subdued, just a nice low rumble when you're out cruising around, and it starts to wail a bit more when you really put your foot down. It makes for a great option for a truck that sees daily driver use or just a lot of miles. You also aren't going to have to deal with drone issues like you might with some other more budget-friendly systems, and that is because you get not just the big muffler here, but also the included resonator. Now, both of these have quite a bit of baffling inside to help keep that sound a bit more subdued and stave off that drone we were talking about. Now, this system is going to exit out of the back just below your rear bumper, so it gives your truck the classic or even hot rod sort of style, and it's made all that much better by these dual 4.5-inch black tips, which add a bit of a subtle update to the rear end. Now, this is where the Armor Black exhaust differs from the rest, as everything from that muffler all the way back to these tips is finished in the same high temp black powder coat. And we're going to talk more about that though in a second. Construction here is all mandrel bent aluminized steel. You get 3-inch diameter piping going into the muffler and 2.5 inches out the back to the tips. You're going to get that excellent flow in addition to some protection against corrosion and rust, though it won't be quite as much as a system made fully from T304 or even T409 stainless. However, that is where this system differs from all the rest of them, because the pipes from the muffler all the way back to the tips are again finished in that high temp black powder coat. Whereas most companies just do a finish on the exhaust tips, MBRP did the entire thing. So everything from the muffler back to the tips is coated and protected. It's a cool, unique touch, and again, it's going to add some additional protection against rust and corrosion. And of course, you also get the 4-inch black coated dual wall T304 stainless tips with the MBRP logo stamped into the side to cap everything off. Pricing will come in at around $1,100. And that does make this one of the more affordable options for a full catback with a dual rear exit setup. And for what you're getting here, I do think it's a pretty good value. You get great sound, good volume, and a cool look with some additional protection thrown in for good measure, which is an all-around good recipe. Installation will come in at a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete. This is designed to be a bolt-on system, so you don't need to modify anything on the truck itself, and it comes with everything you need, including the new exhaust hanger for the driver's side rear piping. However, you may need to make one cut to this extension pipe right here, depending on the size of your cab and bed. It is just this one cut to this one pipe on the new exhaust, and MBRP includes instructions for exact measurements, so it makes it simple for you to accomplish at home. Plus, we're going to walk you through the install process step by step right now so you can see how it's done. For that, let's head on over to the shop.
For this install, you need a 3/8 impact and extension, a 15, 14, 13, and 10 millimeter swivel, 8 millimeter Allen socket, 14 millimeter wrench, a marker, exhaust hanger tool, safety glasses, tape measure, die grinder, and also not shown to be a cutting tool and a pull jack. All right, today we're going to be installing an exhaust on our F-150. First, we're going to watch a quick video how to uninstall a stock system, then we'll come back here to install the new one.
So we've got the truck up in the air, and the first thing we're going to need to do is remove our factory setup. We're going to start with our 15 millimeter clamp here at our flex pipe. So we're going to grab our 15 mil socket on our impact and loosen this up. So we'll come up here and loosen this clamp. Next, we can unbolt the brackets for our 2 hanger isolators here on our frame rail. For that, we're going to use our 10mm socket extension on our ratchet. You want to hold on to this hardware when you remove it. Next, we're going to remove our hanger isolator for our muffler section. And the easiest way to do that is to use your 10mm socket and extension on your impact and unbolt it. Now we do have a pole jack underneath our muffler to help support it. And once you have it unbolted, it does have a tab on the other side. Just have to lower this pole jack down a bit, get that out of its seat. Make sure that's free and clear. Now we can unbolt our rear hanger bracket section, again with our 10mm socket and extension on our impact. There is also a bolt on the inside of the frame rail. You want to support your exhaust when you do this. Now we can come up to our 2-bolt flange and remove the two 13mm bolts holding that in place. Now we do have an extra set of hands at the rear of the exhaust because once we unbolt this, we'll bring this back and take it out of the truck. We've got our 13mm socket and extension on our impact. We'll get these out. We're going to hold on to these bolts. And once we clear the cross member, we can bring the front of our exhaust down, get the tail over the axle.
So now before we get to installing our new exhaust, we just need to take off our factory hangers off of our stock system. So we'll grab an exhaust hanger tool and simply just pop them off. Get that off of our tool, and we're just going to do the same thing for the other three. This one does have a barb on it, so you definitely need that. Sometimes they don't. They'll just simply twist off. Just like that. Now before we get to installing our exhaust, we actually do have to cut our front pipe here. Now since we do have a Super Crew and a 6.5-foot bed, we're going to be cutting ours down to 37.25 inches. Now you want to make sure you have the front mark at the flange point so you don't cut the flange off. So we'll bring this down, grab our tape measure, just grab a marker, and just mark that. Just keep rolling the pipe, mark it all the way around. So that you get a nice straight line going all the way around it. Once you have marks going all the way around, just connect the dots. All right, now we're ready to go cut this. Now we have this set up on our chop saw, let's get this cut. All right, now before we get our exhaust installed, we just have to clean up after our cut. So I'm gonna grab a die grinder and a sanding disc and just clean up the outside and inside of our edges here. So we're going to start by getting our front section on. This will have our flange for our bracket here. We're going to slide that up in place, and we're just going to loosely install our factory bolts that we took out. Got those loosely threaded in, we just let that hang there for now. Next we have our extension pipe that we cut down to size. So we have one of our 3-inch clamps already over it. I have a pole jack here just to help hold everything up in place. And we'll just slide this into our front muffler. All right, so before we get our next muffler on, we do need to reinstall one of our exhaust hangers. So we're gonna put this in our rear location and thread in our 10mm bolts. Grab our impact and socket and tighten those down. So now we're gonna have our hanger and clamp combo. Now how this goes together is you're just gonna pinch the clamp and put that through the large slot and then just rock up in place so it locks down. Now this is gonna go over this pipe here and into our hanger. We just kind of let that rest there for now, and now we can get our muffler on and then slide our clamp down. So now we'll grab our muffler, get that slid over in place, and then we might need to loosen up our clamp a little bit, but we'll get that back over our muffler after we get everything else on. All right, now before we get any more of our exhaust installed, we just need to install our rear hangers. Now these are identical from side to side. So you see this access hole right here, this big circle hole above our leaf spring. So we're gonna get our bracket and we're gonna have a large washer behind it. Just make sure that the end of it is facing outside of the truck. Get our large bolt with our flat washer and put that through. Put that through our access hole. Now on the other side, we're gonna have another large washer with another flat washer, lock washer, and then our nut. I know it's gonna be hard to see, but you do need to just reach above the spare tire. Get that in place. All right. Get up here, flat washer, and then our smaller washer, lock washer, and then thread on your nut. Now this is all 14mm hardware. So we're gonna grab our 14mm wrench to hold the backside and our impact with 14mm socket and tighten that down. Just make sure it's pointing straight up and down. All right, now you can go ahead and repeat the same thing on the other side. So we're gonna continue along on our driver's side. So you'll see you have your curved pipe here with our hanger close up. Now I have our factory hanger that we took off that has a single bolt that's gonna go up in our frame. Have one of our smaller clamps already over our pipe. We're just gonna let that sit there. Bring this up, I'm gonna hook that into the frame. And then we have one of our 10mm bolts. We're gonna thread in and then tighten down. Grab my impact, extension, 10mm swivel socket, tighten that down. So now we have our passenger side over the axle pipe. Now this does not have any hangers on it, so it's easy to identify. I'm gonna put our clamp over and slide this into our muffler and just let that rest there for now. You'll see that your muffler is twisted. It doesn't sit perfectly flat. That is as designed. So just make sure it sits like this. So we're continuing on our passenger side. So you see I have our clamp already over our pipe. You just wanna make sure it's angled correctly so that this end will come straight out. We're gonna slide that up and into our hanger at the same time pretty much. Get that in there. We're definitely gonna need to do some adjusting, but we'll let that sit for now and go ahead and get our driver's side on. All right, we're just gonna do the same thing on the driver's side now. We have the end of our over the axle pipe here and into our hanger. So now we're gonna start tightening our exhaust down, starting at the front, working our way backwards. So we're gonna grab our impact, extension, and 13mm swivel and tighten down our front flange. Now you wanna go back and forth on the bolts to make sure you tighten it down evenly. All right, so now we're gonna switch to our 15mm socket for the rest of it. We're gonna tighten down our main clamps. Next, we have our clamp and hanger combo. Same thing, impact and 15mm socket. All right, so now we have our 2 clamps at the back of our muffler. Now you may need to loosen it up and spin the muffler slightly just so that these 2 pipes aren't touching, but still same thing in impact and 15 millimeter. We have our clamp for our end of the over the axle pipe. Just make sure that that is seated all the way up in it. And then on our other side for our driver's side over the axle pipe. Last thing we need to do is our tips. So you can adjust these to however far you want them out. And then go ahead and grab our impact extension and an 8 millimeter Allen socket and tighten this down. You can go ahead and repeat the same thing on the other side. And that wraps up our install of our MBRP Armor Black dual exhaust system with a rear exit for our 2021 and newer 3.5 liter EcoBoost F-150, excluding the Raptor and Tremor. And remember, for everything F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.